2012. So Studio was released in 2008, I think. Hold on.
Well, we're live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Coffee Review. I'm Jason Artley, joined here with Michael Achave, and we're here to talk about all things Bluebeam Review. How's it going today, Michael?
It's going good. Another morning out here in Arizona. Nice and rainy. Not too hot today, so it's going to be a nice day. I'm excited.
See,
How's
that's
everything
not fair.
in your neck of the woods?
I'm up in Minnesota, and it's going to be 95, and we haven't had rain in like 2 months, so it's kind of backwards.
It is. It's nice for us. We've been in a steady drought, so.
I'm sort of jealous. So I'm in Minnesota. You're in Arizona. We're going to use that as a segue into talking about today's topic. So here on Morning Coffee Review, I see a lot of new names in the attendees list, so I want to welcome you all to the Morning Coffee Review. Today we have a topic chosen. We're going to be talking about Bluebeam Studio and the two components of that. We're going to go into some other details on how you can use this. But Morning Coffee Review is very loose, right? If you've got questions, if you've got ideas, if you've got cool things you want to share, type them into the chat, type them into the Q&A. We like to be challenged. We like to answer questions. We like to help out because what we're trying to do here is build a community, right? Is that a safe assumption there, Michael?
I think it's a very safe assumption.
We're all using Bluebeam in different ways, right? I might use it more for markups. Some other people are using it for punch lists. We're using it for collaboration. There's so many different ways that you can use it that it's impossible for everybody to know every single thing that the software can do. So we like having that opportunity to engage with the community and sort of go over the different ways we can use it. And today we're talking about Studio. So Studio is, and Michael found this stat. I'm curious to know where the stat came from. That something like 40% of Revu users do not use it.
Correct. So, well, it actually came from Bluebeam. But okay. Yes, 40% of users that are using currently Revu don't know that there is Bluebeam Studio, Bluebeam Revu Studio. I would just say Studio, right? Within Revu. It comes free with any version of Revu, regardless of edition. There is still the ability to use Sessions, which is part of Studio, with the free version of Revu as well. And I'm trying to look up. I remember there was a year of when Studio was brought to, oh, here it is. So Studio Sessions was brought in 2010 and Studio Projects was brought up in 2012.
Very cool. So it's been around for a long time and still it doesn't get the full adoption. And part of that is because people think it costs extra or something like that. So with that, I'm going to jump ahead and I'm going to start sharing my screen and we're going to start looking at Bluebeam Revu. So I have Bluebeam Revu 20 open. But as Michael said, if you're using any version newer than 2012, you're going to see a Studio option here. So in the Revu interface, I'm in the Revu Advanced profile. Revu Advanced is the profile that I have open. And over here on the left side, there's a panel which has this little 3D isometric house. If you click on that, that's going to open up the Bluebeam Studio. And this is where a lot of people just, I see the sign in, I probably shouldn't go there. And that's my assumption why most folks don't use it. However, all you got to do is click sign in. And when you go to sign in, you're going to have the ability to sign in if you've already created an account. Or if you don't have an account, you can create one here. Now, a couple things about creating an account. Number one, talk to your IT manager first. Sometimes they can automate this process for you, and it helps them make it easier to manage. Don't use your personal email unless you're, doing something else. If it's work related, use your company email. It's going to make it easier for everybody. But this is free. It's not going to cost your company anything to do, and you're going to, obviously remember your Bluebeam ID because this ID also works in other places besides Studio. Mm-hmm. So as I'm signing in here. Michael, can you explain where else they're going to use that Bluebeam ID on that thing if they have maintenance?
Yes, so one thing that you'll be able to utilize your ID for is drawings. You'll also be able to use your ID if you have admin rights or gateway access, which would be enterprise licensing structure as well. That's where your other ID will be tied into. You'll also be able to log into a studio area to manage your sessions if you don't have Studio Prime. And then if you do have Studio Prime, you're going to use that to log into Studio Prime as well. There was a question though from Chris. If you have drawings in Studio, can they be pushed into Drawings without a separate upload? So they can't automatically happen. You do have to go in and prompt them to upload to Drawings. It is intended, so it is whatever the user's intent is versus an automatic upload into Drawings.
And that's a side note there. When we talk about Studio, there's actually two parts of Studio. There's Studio Projects and there's Studio Sessions. I'm going to start here in Studio Projects, and I want to actually set one up. I'm always demoing Bluebeam Review in the studio, and I forget to create one. So today I'm going to create one, and I'm going to make one for morning coffee review. This will be another thing for Michael and I to pass files back and forth. So as the admin of a studio project, I have the ability to set this up. And if you have a full license of review, you're able to set one up yourself. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and I can choose new project. I'm going to call this morning coffee review because I'm so original, right? Now with this project, I'm going to have the ability to load files up into the cloud. So this is actually using Bluebeam's cloud server, and I can upload all sorts of things: CAD files, spreadsheets, Word documents, PDF files. I haven't seen an error message pop up from things I've tried to upload.
I had one, and it was an executable. That's it.
Oh, yeah, an executable. That would make sense. So with this, I can create all sorts of things. And I'm trying to be organized here. So I'm going to go ahead and start creating folders, right? So I want one for my architectural plans. I want to use this as a, I want it to be my single source of truth, right? I want to be able to have my different sub-consultants join in. I want them to be able to create their own folder and give them access to certain things. I want to have my specifications. I want to be able to have everything in one place so I know where to find it, right? So I'm just adding folders here. And if I were studious about this, I would automate this process. So, Michael, you want to talk about automating folders here?
Yeah, me. So automation of folders can be done two ways. It can be done in Studio Prime, where you already have a folder structure set up. But what I prefer to do is I prefer to have something set up in File Explorer that's kind of a proxy folder, because maybe we don't need Studio Prime, we don't need the integration. I think it's not just the integration you gain from Studio Prime, you also gain analytics of what's happening in your projects and sessions. If you're an admin and you're trying to manage all of your company sessions and projects and everyone keeps creating them, there's all these different ones. How can I go in and manage them? Because I don't have their ID, I'm not being invited, they're not giving me access rights. That's another way as well. But if you don't have it, you can create a folder structure in File Explorer that just has proxy folders, because all you need to do is drag and drop. And when you drag and drop the folder structure, it actually has the same folder structure, and again, like the files or any files that are in there. But you probably don't want to have any files if you're just trying to create project by project. You just want to have the folder structure set up so you can start dumping in files into there. That'd be the recommended way. Question: Chris said, "Can this replace a Dropbox? Can you send a link if they do not have review?" Yes. So this does work like a sense of Dropbox. The only thing is that is difference from Dropbox to Studio Projects is you can't send a link to the entire folder, but you can send a link for the individual document. So you are able to send a shareable link. It can expire in 24 hours or when the project is done. You can also require a password. It is a static link. It is not dynamic, so it's not updating when you're updating whatever it is in here. You can work off a Revit file. You can work off a DWG singularly. It's a check-in, check-out basis. For PDFs, you can check in, check out as well. The difference between the .pdf file extension and other ones is that other people can open it when you have it open. That way they can review the PDF. They cannot mark up though if someone else has it checked out. So it's like checking out a book from the library when there's only one copy of that book.
Okay, I'm gonna add on a couple more differences there from Dropbox though, because this does come up a lot. Hey, I'm using Dropbox, I'm using Google Drive, I'm using BIM 360, which we talked a little bit about last week. Can it replace Dropbox? Yes. What's the big difference? It's free, and there's no size limit. I can upload as many files as I want, and I can upload files of any size that I want. Whereas Dropbox, I'm always running into issues where I'm passing files back and forth with my client, and they said, well, you got to delete room. There's not enough room in there. I can't upload it. Let's just jump over to the studio. We can pass things back and forth. Additionally, I think setting up security stuff is a little easier as well.
Yeah, and you can invite people that, again, don't have a license of review into here. So let's say they don't have a license, they can download a 30-day free trial. They get the 30-day free trial. Once it expires, it turns into view mode on their desktop, which is a very strong PDF viewer in my opinion. And they can still get access to the project, but they cannot work on PDFs as a check-in, check-out basis because they have the free version, so they can't mark up, but they can look at the PDFs if they needed to as well. There was a question, what is the folder pack that I get? That may be a question of, is there a size or something like that? There are no size limits in Studio projects. It's unlimited file size, any file type except an executable, which I found out, which I don't even call that a file type. It's more of an extension, right? And no limits on the amount of people you want to invite into the project as well. There's no limits on shareable links or anything like that either. Again, the only limitation to shareable links is that you can only share one document, but you are able to download an entire folder if you wanted to as well. So if you're in the project, you can right click on a folder and you can say download. It'll download all of the documents from that folder file structure. So if you have 50 sheets, yes, if it's one PDF with 50 sheets, you can send a link to it. You right click on the document if you have access, right? And then you can say shareable link, share a link.
Right.
Yep.
So if I share a link here, I have the ability to set these permissions like Michael mentioned. So I can go in here and share it for 24 hours or the lifetime of project. I can require a password, and I can also flatten it if I choose. And when you get that link, it's just a web link. You can open that up in any browser, so if you're remote, you're working off your phone, you can open it that way too. It does work pretty well.
It's like a standard download. If you download something from Google Chrome, right, or Edge, it just becomes that singular download like any other download does, and then you're good to go from there.
Right. So here I've set this up, right, and I've done a pretty sloppy job. But I've got my morning coffee review. I've got my architectural plans, my civil plans, my electrical plans. I uploaded all of this stuff manually. And as Michael mentioned, I could have just opened Explorer and dragged in a folder that contained everything that I want. But here I'm showing that I have the ability to organize things however I like. And I like to spell things out. So it's pretty logical in here. And now I'm ready to start inviting people to my project. So I'm going to come up here to my invite, and by choosing invite, I can go through here and type in emails or do groups or use my address book. So here I'm going to type in Michael's information.
So I have 50 sheets in Excel, so you can send the sheets, but then you'd have to send two different emails, one, or I guess two different links, one to the Excel file, one to the sheets. Again, you can invite people into the project if you want them to get access to multiple documents. That would be the recommended way. You're just trying to send out a singular item, or if you're fine with sending two different links, hey, Excel file link, and then PDF document link. So either one works.
Right, and that's where the big difference comes in, right? Because here I'm inviting through email, so I'm essentially sharing those files with them, but they have to have review to come in here. So that's the difference. If I'm just sharing the link as I did before, they can do that from anywhere else.
And this is what it looks like when someone gets invited. So let me share my screen, Jason. I don't know where Zoom is.
Zoom's hiding today.
There
It's hiding from me.
So here is the email that you get. You've been invited to a studio project, morning coffee review. Join the project to start collaboration. And as it said before, here it is, new to studio. So you can start a 30-day free trial. If again, this is prompting them. So you don't have to, I guess you could send up a follow email. I probably would. But you could also, when you invited somebody, add a message saying, hey, download this free trial. I'll hop on the phone with you and show you how it works, or something like that. Or, hey, here's a video. There's a ton of YouTube videos on, or just send them this one, right? From the morning coffee review. Hey, tune into the first 30 minutes where Jason logged into studio, and there you go, after they've downloaded it. But then you can say join the project here as well. So then from there, you can join the project, and it's going to want me to log in. So I can go to review. I can go into drawings to also join the project if I wanted to see the PDFs from that way, since I have access to drawings as well. So
now I see that you already have you have a studio session. Do you have a project for morning coffee review? No.
I do. I think that's one was what's your number for yours? Yeah, cause see this one 108.3.
Well, that's a session though. That's not a project.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think
you did have one. So this is
right.
You did have an old one. Okay. So it does allow two of the same name. So experimenting live on morning coffee review. That's what we do. So now you can see everything that I've uploaded.
Yes.
Now, this is where I would go in before I would take this step. As I'm adding folks in here, and I can add by email, I can make groups. So if I have multiple people for, let's say, my electrical contractors, right? They have multiple reviewers. I'm going to create a group for them. That way I don't have to enter in their email individually. I can just create a group, and it's going to invite everybody that I create, right? So if I'm always working with the same people, it really makes it easy to share.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't enable share link. So
I didn't get to security yet.
Yeah. Okay. You're going to do security?
I'll do security.
Okay.
I'm going to kick you out of your share. We're going to go back to my share. Go ahead.
Was one of your questions going to be, what is this green thing?
What green thing?
This green button, set to sync?
No.
This guy?
What does that do?
So set to sync for studio projects. You don't have to do it for studio sessions because it's downloading locally anyways. But for studio projects, your PDFs or your folder structures don't download locally. So if you disconnect from the internet, you may not be able to get access to your file. So set to sync means it's downloading it locally.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yep.
That's a better explanation than I would have come up with. All right. So I'll go back to sharing my screen. And here on mine, since I'm the admin, I'm going to set up my security. Now, this is something that I want to do pretty quick after inviting people or before, but just don't forget about it like I just did. I need to go to my project settings. And in my project settings, I can now see how many users I have, how many folders, and how many files. I can choose my shared links. I can see my project size. Again, that doesn't really matter a whole lot because we're not being limited by the studio functionality. But here on user access, Michael is allowed. I can restrict users. I can turn this off, and I can click him, and I can kick him out. I have that capability. Or I can go in here and set different groups and folder permissions. So here in my attendees, this is everybody. If I were to create a separate group for civil engineers or architects or electrical contractors, I could create a different group for there, and then they would have different capabilities. So this works really well. You can give the civil engineers the ability to upload folders or upload files only in their folder, right? That way, that gives them an opportunity to load things up. You don't have to check everything in for them. Give them permission to do that, to manage their own folder, and then that when you go into that folder, you're always getting the latest and greatest, right? And similarly, I can create different permissions. What can these people do? This is where that functionality comes in. So for the civil plans, I can go say that they can only read, write, and delete. Maybe in specifications, only they can do whatever. So in the root, I have all these different settings, and I can go through a bunch of different, imaginary scenarios for that. But the main thing is that the project itself has its own security, and then the folders themselves can also go down and be, it'll trickle down where you have those settings where you can really filter things out and make it nice.
Yeah, because inherit from parent right now. So the architectural plans right now is they can only read because it's inheriting from the parent, which is the project root. Now, if they read and write, that means that they can actually go through and edit a document. Deleting, pretty self-explanatory. They can go through and delete items. So inherit from parent means they're inheriting from the project roots. And then if there was a sub one like under specifications, you click that sub down one. Yeah, if that one was set to inherit from parent, that's actually inheriting from the specifications, right? So sub root is going to inherit from that one, and then that one's inheriting from the project root if you're using the inherent feature. So just be aware of that. You can do hidden. So if you don't want someone to see an actual folder structure because, I don't know, you just don't want them to see it, you can have them hidden from here as well. So that's another setting. They can't even see the folder. So if Jason hid something from me, I wouldn't be able to go through and actually see it on my end either.
That sounds fun, but I'll do that for another time when I'm mad at you, which has
Okay.
never happened. So anyway, we'll go through here, and I can continue to set this up with groups and users, but for now, just having Michael in here is all that I need. All right.
Yeah, and groups and users is great. It's just going to there and creating groups. So under the permissions, you have to recreate groups, but yeah, there. So this is where you create groups. So you add a group name and then you add members to it. This is also a great way to invite people. So if you have particular groups that you're trying to always invite, you can do that at the beginning where Jason invited me. You could just pick groups so that you don't have to go through and find emails, and you can just click checkboxes and it invites everybody, which is a huge feature. Or copy and paste. They upgraded the feature of invitations. I think it was it 20? It was 19. To a different UI because the UI used to look just like this and it wasn't that great of a feature. But once these are added, then you can click on that one. So let's click on architects. Then you go to the right and add members, and then you type in their email addresses, and that's how it works. FYI, search the sync stuff. It does download locally depending on how Bluebeam is installed and configured for your company. Currently, my company installs it on my C drive. We have a folder called app data local. If you don't consistently sync, it will sync the folders and files to the configured location only. When you go into the folder in Bluebeam, if you sync the folder all the time, it will sync to the same location. Yeah, I mean, syncing is just, for me, it's just having a local copy, and I'm never going to go to that. I'm just going to keep it in Bluebeam projects, right? Studio projects. The syncing locally is just so you can still access it in projects if you disconnect from the internet. So like for me, for instance, if I go out with my iPad and I'm trying to get access to my studio projects to mark things up in my project, or to, I guess that'd be my only case, then it would sync locally. And let's say you're working on like a .rvt file from here, from your studio project, like I've done before, checked it out, I'm working on it. I've closed out a review. It caches that saved local, right? Because you cached it, because you checked it out. And then when you hit save, it'll just default you to save it somewhere else. So don't close out a review if you're working on a DWG, an Excel file. Review has to be open to maintain that connection of where it's saving in the cloud. Again, caching locally, we're not really, for me, in my experience, I'm not worried about the local copy of where it is, because again, it's going to be saving once I get back into the connection of studio projects. So
right, it works really well for people who travel, right? Let's say you're working on your laptop and then you need to go out to the job site and you might not have internet connection. If it's synced, then you have it locally, you can still work on it, have access to your files, and then when you get reconnected, that's what that sync is doing. Works really, really well. I'm seeing more and more people utilize the studio as a way to pass files back and forth. And Okay.
Well, don't give them right to delete. And they can't delete the files.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess they can't write too, but yeah. Okay.
In the chat, talking about using the studio and having your rights set up and having that local sync just in case somebody accidentally deletes something, right? Because nobody would ever delete things on purpose.
No one
right?
deletes things. No,
ever. So here you can go in there and give people, by adjusting your permissions, then they can't do certain things. That would prevent people from deleting things. However, whatever you want to do,
folder
knock yourself out.
permissions. Yeah, whoever's the candidate of always deleting things, I would give them in their own group, and that group only has access to read. I mean, read and write is because delete, it's read, write, and then delete. So you can give them read and write, but they can't delete. So.
All right. So here we go, Michael. I'm going to have you share your screen.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you hop into a file and make a change.
Okay. So I'm going to resync. It again, I'm not updating my syncs of what it was. So to resync to make sure everything's correct of what Jason had before, I'm going to disconnect and reconnect. That's just by selecting this. It's going to resync whatever was pushed back from him, because it doesn't automatically update like Studio Sessions, which we'll talk about in a little bit. In here, you need to push and pull data to make sure it's accurate from what it was most recently, since nothing is syncing in here. And I'm going to update something or anything that I want.
Anything makes you feel happy.
Well, you didn't put any structural folders in here, so thank you, sir. I'll open up this one here.
Oh, don't do that one. Do interior elevations. That one's more fun.
Okay, so
bottom. There you go.
But are we going to talk about features of how to check out and anything like that? Or
Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
So as I'm working through here in Revu, one thing you need to do is I can open the PDF as it is stands right now, and that's just me viewing it. So it's not standard Windows file locking for PDFs, meaning if I have it open, no one else can open it. The great feature about having it in a project is anyone can have it open, right? They can have the PDF open, but only one person can check it out to work on it. Jason asked me to check it out like a book, so I went to the library or the studio project to go and pull that copy of that book out so I can work on it. So I'm going to right click. I could just say open and then check out, but I'm going to say check out from here. So it's going to check out. I don't need my studio bar open either, so I can close this out because I just need this bar, which is my project. So I've checked it out. That does not mean I have it open. I've just checked it out like a book. No one else can check it out. It gives a little checkout icon. It's a paper with a check. I can then right click and say open. And it says, hey, would you like to split screen, so that I have my project open and this one open? Great. I can move this over a little bit to give me more real estate here. And again, for anyone that didn't know, you can have your panel out somewhere else. So if you need to ever have that, you can totally do that as well. So great. So, oops.
This is renamed the wrong way. That's weird. See that?
So
it says interior elevations, but
I was in the wrong thing. I clicked on here. See?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back and check out this one too. So I need to click on the folder here, and then I'm in here. So here we go. Check out.
Now, while it's doing that checkout, it's making sure nobody else has it open.
Yep.
Now you can go. Now you're in interior elevations.
Ooh.
Little 3D PDF viewport action.
Yeah, that was scary. It started zooming and it zoomed in for that one. There we go. Okay. Did you put that there?
I did not. I don't think I did.
Yeah, I don't really like that because
there's no locking viewport like we would do in AutoCAD.
Yeah.
And it's a little OCD right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, I'm trying to get out of it and it won't. There we go. Okay. Now I'm in here. So we want to mark something up, right? Is that what we're going to do?
Just make a change.
Make a change. Okay, so that is really frustrating.
Right? There's got to be a way to
click out of it.
This is a Bluebeam supplied PDF too, so maybe we should.
Yeah, I can't lock it. Okay, so I'm gonna stay over here because every time I go over there, it wants to zoom into what that PDF is. So I'm just gonna make a revision cloud here. I'm going to say check update.
Perfect.
I prefer to use the metadata of review. So down here in the markups list, we'll have my comment versus having the quick select of a Cloud Plus, which is a comment attached to the cloud. But again, this is just where I see majority of people starting to transition to when they're making markups, because the metadata is all down here. We don't have to worry about it. So I made this marked up, and you want me to check it back in, or do you want to share your screen on what it looks like, or do you want to show revision history?
I want to show revision history after you check it back in.
Okay, so I'll check it back in, but I'm not going to check in the electrical, so you can see what it looks like from me having something checked out versus you. Okay,
perfect.
So I'm going to check it back in. Right up here at the top left, you can see, usually if you want to know if you have something checked out or you're just looking at the PDF, it'll show a lock. Right here has the paper with the checkout. You can also use this feature. I could say, hey, I'm going to check it back in, or I'm going to update the server copy, because Jason's like, well, hey, Mike, what have you been doing? You don't necessarily want to check it back in, but you want to show Jason what you've done so far. I could update the server copy. It just pings it back in real quick, checks it back out. The other one is undo checkout. If you undo checkout, it deletes everything that you did before and it just gives it back, right? I mistakenly did all of that. I apologize, something like that. I don't know. Revert changes. So if there was any changes from the most recent revision, you can revert them and then start over again. The undo checkout checks it back in and does the revert changes all at once. Revision history if there's any old ones. So I'm going to check in. So
always add the comment here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Read my mind. Yes, great habit to get into is to do this every time you upload into here. So I'm going to say check in. And now you can see there's a lock feature. I'm going to exit out, and I will stop my share here, and I will let Jason go forward.
And I'll share my screen. So now I'm back into my file, and I can go over here to my architectural plans, and I can see my interior elevations. This is the same file that Michael just had open. But I'm curious, is this the latest one? I don't know. I can right click on it and come down here to revision history. So as I was gone, I'm back in. Who checked this file out? Who did certain things? Is this the most recent one? If I go to revision history, here I see that, oh, well, this was checked in by Michael at 9:02, and the comment was update location, please. Oh, okay, great. This is one way that we can communicate, right? We can go through all sorts of things. Now, if we have 10 revisions in here, that's fine. At any point, I can go click on them and restore another revision. Now, if I were to restore this, this would not overwrite what Michael did. It would become revision number 3, right? So we can always go back. It's maintaining that history. And I think this is a very important sort of tool, because you don't have to keep all those extra files, right? Remember, we're talking about keeping the latest and greatest in here, but we don't have to throw the old stuff away because it's always being tracked in the revision history.
And that also works for different file types, by the way.
Right. So these document files, drawing files, Revit files, spreadsheets, whatever, you're getting functionality there that you're not getting out of Dropbox. I'll tell you that much. All right. So in the electrical plans, though, this is the one that you're trying to get, right?
Yeah. So
if I try to check this out,
I think you're gonna have to ping it back to see it, because I want to show you the icon. So disconnect from exit out of the project first. Yeah. And disconnect and reconnect. There you go. Resynced. Or you can set up sync, but yeah.
There we go. See, now that symbol wasn't there before. So if I go to a different plan, like my civil plan, see, we just have the PDF icon, the Bluebeam PDF icon. And if I come down here to electrical plans, it tells me, hey, this is already checked out by Michael. So if I try to open this up, notice I don't have the ability to check this out. I can go here and check this one out. Here, I can't check it out. Now, I can, as admin, I can revoke his checkout. Be careful with this, because if they spend a lot of time working on something and they haven't saved in a while or haven't checked it out, you're going to take away all of their work. And that's not nice. This is one of those things like, well, this is for the client we fired or whatever else. Another way to manage your files. But with this, it gives us that ability to say, oh, well, not only is it checked out, he's working on it right now. Great. I can move on and do work on something else. And if we were on the phone and he could say, hey, I'm working on the electrical plan. I'm going to update the server copy real quick. You can see what I'm working on. You know, that's what Michael was just talking about. But again, I can't check it out. I can't do much with it until it's actually checked back in.
Yep.
So this studio project part, again, just half of what we can do inside of Bluebeam Studio. We're going to use this for our file share. Again, cloud-based. We can upload all sorts of things. There's no file limits. There's no file sizes. I think there is a limit to how many people you can invite, but it's like 500 or something like that. Does that sound right?
For studio projects, there's no limits for the amount of people you want to invite to a project.
Okay.
The only limitations are in sessions.
Excellent. All right. In here are projects. Now, again, this is not real time. It's real time hosting, but we can't have multiple people collaborating at the same time. If I wanted to take that same file that Michael had open and have my entire design team work on it at one single time, I'm going to use Bluebeam Studio Sessions. So I'm going to close this project. I'm going to toggle my icon up here at the top. So Studio, Studio Projects, and then Studio Sessions, a little chalkboard icon. When I go to that one, now I have my list of sessions. And the same thing falls in. I can create a new one or I can join. If I go to join, I'm going to enter in the ID number. But I'm going to open up our morning coffee review. Michael's already been a part of this one. I don't have to invite him. But he's not online. I can tell you that much. I can see who's in here. So there's me, there's Michael's iPad, there's Michael, and there's my iPad. And now I see that Michael's online. So we are both online at the very same time. And what I'm going to do in this session is I'm going to start reviewing something. So I'm going to change my status to reviewing. So now you know that's what Jason's up to. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start looking at my construction side. Inside here, I can start working on whatever I want, right? I can start making markups. I can do all sorts of things. Now, what I really, really like about this, couple things. One, you see exactly where I'm at. Jason is reviewing. He's in this file. He's on page 3. Michael doesn't have anything open right now. The other demo boys are they're offline. But I can upload multiple documents, and I have a full record of what's going on. So right now, Jason left, Michael left, Jason joined, Michael joined, Jason set his status, so on. I can go in here and start reviewing whatever I want to do. Right. So if I want to start putting clouds in here, I'm going to use that double click trick that Michael just did. Mentions. Good. Whoa, fingers. How I feel about that. I'm going to fix that. I can go over here and place different markups, do whatever I need to do, etc. Now, what's neat about this is that if Michael was in here or anybody else was in here, I can't move their markups. I can't delete them. I can't change their color. I can turn off their visibility, and I can gray them out by using my filters, but I can't move them. So whomever is placing their markups, this is a big part of the security of this. It's tied to them, right? Unless I kick them out, as we showed before, where I can deny people. If I were to deny folks, I would then have the ability to take over their markups. So now that I see Michael is on the same page as me, but I don't, look, he put this markup over here. Actually, I want to see exactly what he's up to. I can click on him and go to follow attendee. So I'm going to right click on the user, choose follow attendee. And now we see that yellow iron cross type of thing. That's Michael moving his mouse. I can see exactly where he's looking at. So if we're on a call, we can explain things, or there's a chat box down in the lower left-hand corner where I can go say, hey, switch to page 5. Now we can chat back and forth without having to be on a call, without having to do whatever. So there, Michael put Roger that. Now we're on page 5. I can see what he's doing. Right, so it's a good way to communicate. It's a good way to collaborate. Again, we can have now this one does have limitations. So first I'll talk about limitations of users. This one has is it 50 or 500? It starts with a 5. It's a lot of people, more people than you probably will ever have in a session at one time. And I think
the limit. So it's 500. The file limit is 5,000 PDFs or up to 1 GB each for the file limit. And then the file types are just PDFs and right. 2D or 3D PDFs.
So only PDFs in a session. The file limits are so high you're probably never going to hit them. And then, we have all the same security thing. We could do give people certain capabilities. Now, what's special about sessions is that you don't have to have a working license of Revu. You can access this from the free version of Revu or the $10 iPad version. Now, these people who are offline, this Jason and Joe, that's our iPads. And it works really, really well because then we can be out in the field. And we've talked about this on previous episodes where maybe I'm in the office, I'm getting ready to go out in the field that day. I'm going to start my session, load up the file I want. I'm going to go out to the field, do my punch list, take my pictures, add my comments, whatever. It's going to sync back up. If I had an internet connected iPad, I could be doing my punch list and somebody in the office could be responding to things in real time, right? Because they'd be able to see things as it's happening. And again, with that chat function.
You can get cellular data on an iPad, right?
You can, yes.
Okay.
Question from Jason. Hi, Jason. You cannot follow in a project. You can only follow in a session. It would be cool if you could follow in a project.
You can, however, add your PDFs from a project into a session, so you don't have to download and upload into the actual session separately, which some folks do. They download from the project, creating duplicates, everything. So the workflow that we should be having is less duplicate files. That's one of Bluebeam's trademarks. Bluebeam, the company, Revu the software, right, is not creating duplicate files, a better workflow and process. And what better way to just store everything in projects? And that's your true and full storage area. And you then bring it to a session so everyone can work on it simultaneously. Then you bring it back into the project and you upload it to drawings for people out in the field. Just to view, right? Because that's what drawings is for. And I know there was a question earlier, can we show you how to upload to drawings? We can, Chris, just be sure that you do have active maintenance on your license. Otherwise, you can't be an uploader to drawings.
All right, so let's do that. We've done markups. We've done all sorts of things in here. I'm going to go ahead and change my status to finished. I'm done with my work. I'm going to leave my session. And now I'm back to my studio panel. I'm going to come over to my projects. I'll go back to morning coffee review. And now let's say that, Michael and I are going to collaborate on something. I want to add something to a session, right? So we'll take my civil plan. Since I'm a civil guy, I'll go over here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to choose add to Noob Session. When I do this, we'll call this MCR. Holy cow, it's the 17th. 8/17/21. I'll hit OK. Now you're going to see a couple differences this way. I have my session. Now I can go invite people. I still have to invite folks, right? It doesn't automatically add everybody from my project, right? So if I go to add, I can go type emails. I really should put you in my address book by now.
Or in a group, because I think groups is, the group is key to success for adding multiple people, or your address book is another key to success if you have like Outlook.
Right. So now what I have here is I have my attendees. I've invited Michael and I see that he hasn't joined. I like this feature. This is a newer feature that came out in Review 20. I can see not joined. I can click over here and I can send a reminder. Like, hey, it's been 36 seconds. How come you haven't joined already? Come on. I can do those things. Or once they become online, this not joined will say 0. Online will say 2. Right? So here we have the ability to close this project. I can now open up this file. This file is part of a session. We can go through, make our markups, do whatever. And when we're done with that, I can close the session and go back to my projects. Now with my projects, you're going to see a new sort of drop down. Well, now, oops, too quick with my clicks. Now I'm on the Studio Projects panel. But again, pay attention to the icon. Projects looks like something, a blueprint, and then the other one looks like a chalkboard. Yeah. So here's our morning coffee review project, and here is our morning coffee review session. Now this session file, this is the confusing part. This is not the same, or this currently is the same as this file that exists inside of my project, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But if we start making changes to this, what happens to this file in my project?
It doesn't get updated until you update the server copy, which is right-clicking on your document from your studio sessions.
Correct. So if we would go in here and start making all sorts of changes, right? I'm adding pictures. I feel like adding an image today. Oh, this is one of my favorites. This has nothing to do with a civil site plan, though. All right, so I've added a file. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my session. Here I go. Here's my document. If I right-click on this, this is where I need to update my studio project copy. I do wish this said update studio project copy.
It says update project copy.
I know.
I mean, I guess because you can fuse project with like other projects, but yeah, I get it.
Right. If I choose update project copy, it will overwrite what is over here in my actual project. If I don't do that, these will stay separate files. Remember, they have the same name. I can't rename this, right? So be careful with that. But it's a great way to collaborate. That's the way you can share things. If you did want to follow people, for example, say, hey, let's get on the phone. Let's work on this file in projects. We'll open up in sessions, and then you can follow them and then go back and about your day. Now, another comment about sessions that I really like. We're not all in the same time zone, right? We're not all in the same schedule. Maybe you got to take, Timmy to softball practice or something. You want to go in after hours. You can review this at any time, right? This isn't just open during office hours. So if you want to go do your reviews later, when they come in, this is all going to be synced automatically as soon as they're connected to the internet, right? So we can do all these things. We can collaborate and don't have to be tied to a schedule as much. So I love that functionality.
There are some limitations in studio sessions, so be aware. So that's why one of the great features is to have it in a project, because if you're managing the project, you have to add files, you need to import comments or anything like that. You can just update the server copy, delete this one out of here, do what you need to do, and then re-upload it to the session, right? We're not kicking anybody out. We don't have to go back and re-invite people. You're just saying, hey, I'm deleting this file for the moment being. No one can access it. I'm going to go manage it in the project by inserting pages, overlay, what others, another batch slip sheeting, doing all of my stuff that I need to do. And then I'm going to come back and right click and upload to the existing session.
Right. So we've looked at viewing this in Studio or in Bluebeam Review, right? So you can look at a project in a full version of Review. You can participate in a session in any version of Review. With this, there are those limitations. Certain tools don't work. You can't upload, you can't change your sheets and stuff. Don't put things into a session until they're done, right? Now from there, thank you for your patience, Chris. We're going to talk about Bluebeam Drawings. So it works hand in hand with the studio, but this doesn't require review. This requires maintenance. So I guess it does require review, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to pay for maintenance without having the
but
software.
people out in the field don't need to pay for it because they can just have Drawings, which is a free app to download on Android, your Apple devices. You can even put it on your iPad. You can put it on your Surface Pro. You can put it on your computer. Well, there's no app on your computer. You use the URL login, but yeah.
Right. Only the uploader needs to have the maintenance. Yep. Right. The app is free. Right. You just need that Bluebeam ID to log in, which is a free thing to create. So with that, you want to show this? You want me to do it?
Yep, I'll do it.
All right. Stop share. So Michael's going to open up a web browser, right?
Yes.
And he's going to log in.
Do we want to show? So you have to have admin rights. I think I have it over here. I hope that's a quick key. Yes, it is. So you have to go into Gateway in order to get access to be an uploader. So whoever is your account admin, meaning whoever purchased the license, you should have a key to sign in to your Gateway portal. And once you're in your Gateway portal, which I was given access to these, so you can give Gateway admins keys to your castle, so I'd be wary about that. And then if you have Enterprise, you can go through and manage your licenses as well, which I highly suggest checking out one of our videos. There's a quick tip video on our YouTube channel. What is Enterprise all about? But right here is how you manage your drawing users. So who can else upload our users? You have the ability to go through and how do I add uploaders? It shows you this here, so we are going to skip it. If you ever have any questions, just go through your Gateway, click on Drawings, and this will be allowing you to add people to push PDFs to your drawings or their drawings or whatever they're going to be using it for. So I'm going to do drawings.bluebeam.com. Now, there is a caveat to the app. You can't join a session from the app. You have to join it from the URL. But you can join it from your phone URL at drawings.bluebeam.com. You can, yeah, I mean.
Anywhere with a web browser.
Yeah. So do that before, if you're at the hotel and then you're going out to the site, do it at the hotel before you go out and download your sets as well, which is highly recommended because again, you're not going to be able to see them when you're out there. But from here, you're going to see your available projects. So these are all of my projects, just like I have in here. I go over here.
But they're not just all your projects. It also shows what you were invited to. So at the top of your list, you see the morning coffee review one that I created this morning, and the owner shows my name and not yours, right?
Correct. Yep.
So very, very cool function.
So we have all of mine here. We have all of these here. I can close this back down. Now, this is just a through and through in terms of what projects I have available. Not everything is uploaded automatically like the question that was asked before. So from here now, I can create an additional project. Yes, you will see it in review, or I can go through and have an existing project, right, that I already have, which I do. So I'm going to go to File, Share. This is the one I use all of the time. So I selected it. And then from here, I have documents in it. If you ever want to go home, you can just go and click this little studio icon and it'll bring you back to this home page here. I'm going to go back to File, Share. Now from here, you have published sets. So this is what everyone is going to see. The other one is review. So this is where you're going to upload. Well, you could do it from here too, but you click this upload button. So for review is meaning that, hey, this is done processing because it has to process your documents that you've uploaded. You said, hey, well, Bluebeam, I want to upload this stuff to Drawings. You process it, and then before it's completed, you have some options to do there. So, but how do I upload them was a question. You click the upload button. You only see this if you're an uploader. If you're not an uploader, you don't see this button. You'll just have access to whatever project you're in, and that's pretty much it. Then you can click upload. Now these are your options. Do I upload from the project or from the computer? So this is where you decide, am I grabbing files from my project? And it brings open your your folder project files, which you can see like my DWG I can't upload, but I can upload my PDF sets here. So I can come into here and upload my sets directly from here and hit next. And it's going to say, do you want to add any more? Nope, that's fine. And one file selected, 3000 is your max for that file in Studio, in Bluebeam Drawings, sorry, for this specific file. Now this changes, by the way, with the amount of licenses you have. So it increases by the greater number of licenses you have. If you're like, hey, I'm reaching my threshold and I have a small amount of licenses, we can reach out to Bluebeam for you and we can see if we can get it increased. But I'm going to hit add one file. It says you'll receive an email when they are ready for the review, which we already had one. So as that one's processing, right, I'm going to go to this one, which already processed. And now it says, great. So what do you want to do with this one process document? Are you going to give it a sheet number? So it already picked out the sheet numbering from whatever the name was, a sheet title, because this just helps give more information, right? What discipline is it specific to? What is the issue date? And what is the revision number? Because what happens when I hit cancel here, if I go to over here, you can see there are revisions with this little back arrow. If I hit view, I can view documents from here as well, by the way. I don't need to be in Drawings in terms of the app. Drawings does work this way as well from the URL. But you can go through, navigate through your PDF set, and you can also see revision history down here in the bottom right. It's a little bit different for your other users in the app world, but you can see the different revisions that have been uploaded. So if you wanted to go to a past revision, you can click on one. It'll say not current. And go back to the current one. I can even see if there's any links on the page as well, or create a new link. I'm going to go back.
That was your question that came up here. So Chris was asking, what if there are links in the pages and are they updated?
Yes, links do work. I don't know if I have any on this PDF set. I do know I have them on a set.
Now there was a dialog box that popped up when you hit upload that it went away really quick.
I'll have it in
this
here.
Is a one-way transfer, right? So this is not keeping a live copy of what's on that studio project. So every time you have to be methodical about this. This is why there's that review thing. It's not quick. There's extra steps to make sure that you're sending this out into the wild, right? This is more for the construction phase or something like that. After they've been stamped, they're ready for construction. Then make sure you're good. Then put them out there. That's why there's those extra steps.
Yep. Yes, links do work. I don't have a set in here that had links. Oops. I apologize for that. I used to, because I showed it all the time, but I uploaded this set that doesn't have any links. You can go in and
Michael locked up. So with this capability, you're going to use this to share with anybody.
create links if I wanted to as well, but I'm not going to go and do that from here because I prefer to use the batch. My back.
You're back. Now you're back. Nope.
Am I back?
Yes, now you're in real time. All right. Question from Chris. This does have to be done in Revu. Well, no, it doesn't have to be done in Revu first. You can upload straight from your computer. So if you are an uploader, you can upload files directly from your computer without having to touch Revu.
Yeah, and you can create your own project from here. You don't even need to go into Revu. Again, you can go over here, create a new project. Hit create. There it is. There's my new project. Go into here, add sheets.
Now again, since that's using your Bluebeam ID, when you're going to use that same ID to log into Bluebeam Studio inside of Revu, that project is going to show up.
Yep.
Very cool functionality. We've got about a minute left here, and I want to say thank you before I forget. Thank you for all the new folks that we see on the attendees list. Thanks for being a part of our morning coffee review today on this lovely Tuesday morning. Of course, this is our West Coast edition. So every week we're doing this at 8:30 Central. Once a month we're doing this on a Wednesday at 8:30 Pacific time. So we got a couple more questions. If you've got any questions, type them in. We'll handle those before we get off of here. But so So the question from Chris, and I think this is a good one to end on. Would this be better for sending out one line to multiple PDFs on one link PDF packages? So think about that. Send out one link to multiple PDFs on one link PDF packages. Can you give a little bit more clarity to that one?
So if you're trying to send out multiple PDFs, I get what you're saying. So hey, here's drawings. The only it can't download from there, right? So it's up to you how you're trying to distribute your files. I guess that'd be the end goal, right? What is your end goal intent? Are they just trying to view the PDFs? Are they trying to download then mark up? That's kind of what needs to be answered first. What is our end goal with these PDF portable document formats that we're trying to send? And then if we're trying to send in mass, right? Because you can create a PDF package, which is a folder that hosts your PDFs. I don't know, like a revision history, some Excel files. You can do this huge package, but it's a folder. It is seen as a .pdf though. Maybe you could send that out. I don't know.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week, 8:30 Central on Tuesday. Again, if you got an idea for a topic, you're going to be prompted for a survey at the end of this. So hop out in. Good job, Chris. You spotted the cat. There's a bird outside my window. But we'll see you next week. Thank you all for joining us out there on YouTube land. Thank you, DJ CJ, for getting us up and running. And thank you, Michael. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you all next week.